Hi everyone, welcome to Junk Journaling Barbie. I'm your host, Barbie, aka Barb. Today we are on day K, letter K, and it is Saturday, and I hope you're all well. And I wanted to do something with craft paper. So I actually have craft paper in a craft paper pad. So one of them is going to be 170 GSM and one is 250 GSM. I don't know what that means. I just know one is thicker and one is thinner. So the one that's thicker is about like card material. The one that's thinner is like two or three copy papers glued together. Like it's not as thin as copy paper, but it's still pretty thin, but not thick as this one it will be. So what you're going to need to do, if you would like to do this along with me, we are making, as the title probably said, with craft paper, faux leather. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing because I would like to cover my my journal for my knitting and crocheting in faux leather, and I wanted to try this. So if you're like me, you'll want a pair of gloves because this one gets really messy because you're basically scrunching up material and using glue and conditioner and you're using inks and it's going to get on your fingers. So if you want to use gloves, if you don't, that's fine. That's totally fine. It does wash off. Eventually, it takes a while. You'll need a spray bottle with water. So I have the Distress sprayer, but I find you need to a stronger one. The other one, you would be spraying a lot of sprays. So I suggest this spray, like a heavier dutier sprayer. Some kind of conditioner. Okay, so some kind of conditioner, but not 2-in-1, because the 2-in-1 has shampoo in it, and just the conditioner would be the best. Some Mod Podge. And I'm using gloss today. You could use matte, but the gloss is actually, leather is shiny. So you might want a little bit of gloss. Maybe you don't. That's fine too. You can also use anything that's clear, that seals anything that ends up clear. You can use instead of the Mod Podge or Mod Podge. You'll need some kind of a brush or a foam or something just to put the Mod Podge on. So whatever you use for Mod Podge, use that. And you're going to use some inks. You could use permanent. You can use Stays On. You can use Distress. I just wouldn't really recommend acrylic paints too much. You can use them, but it's not going to be soft. It's going to get a little bit too hard, and you want the feel of leather. So this gives the feel of leather without it being crunchy or crispy or the risk of flaking off. Okay, so we're going to get ready. I'm going to put my gloves on. I'll be right back. I forgot to mention also you might want some sort of fan, or I'm not sure if you could use your heat gun. That you could use maybe a hair dryer on cool, or a fan, or you could just air dry it. But I'm not sure about the heat gun. If you've used the heat gun before for this, let me know down below so that I know if it works or not. I'd be afraid that it would crack or anything. It doesn't take very long with the fan. It doesn't take very long to dry either, like a couple hours. So, but I'm going to use my fan. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do one of each. I'm going to do a thicker because I'm not sure which one I'm going to want to use. So this one, you can hear how thick it is. This one, higher pitch noise. It's much thinner paper. It's not as thin as copy paper though. Probably the thickness of 2 copy papers together glued. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to water this down on both sides. And when you're spraying it, just spray each section. Okay, just once. And you can really tell with craft paper. Oh, I forgot to tell you. You can use the rolled stuff. You could use the gift stuff. The stuff you use in the mail. The stuff you get from Amazon. Use all of that stuff for this. That'll be fine. Now, you'll see this starting to curl up. That's okay. and just work the water in with your hands so you know you get every section, okay? And then you're going to flip it over. That's enough, because the bottom side needs some water now. Okay? And we're going to spray the bottom side, because what's the sense in spraying the top without the bottom? Now you're not going to decorate the both sides, but we're going to need this pliable. Now if you have really thin paper, I wouldn't even put as much water on that I'm doing. You could also use file folders if you want to use file folders. If you have maybe different colors, if you have a nice brown or green or whatever you choose. But because today is K, I want to do the craft. Okay, so now we did both sides of our craft paper with just plain water. And it's all in there, okay? So it's not, it's wet, but it's not soaking, okay? Next, we're going to take some conditioner. Now, this is the secret ingredient for today's video. And I'm going to just put about a tablespoon amount. Half a tablespoon? Yeah, that's a half a tablespoon amount in my palm. And I'm going to just spread it in my hands, okay? And I'm going to just rub it on my paper. I'm going to do still some on my hands. Okay, I'm going to flip it, both sheets. This one's thinner, so this one's a little bit trickier. And I'm going to do this side as well. That's just step one. Step two, we're going to separate them now. I will do the thinner one, I think, first. Okay. I'm going to make sure I got that well covered. And I'm going to just gently, because I don't want to rip it, I'm going to crunch it up. I know, don't panic. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Even if it rips, we like the grunge. Now we just gently open it. Very gently, okay? Gently open it. Oh, look at, oh, this is so beautiful. That turned out really nice. And I didn't even ink it yet. All right, so now I'm going to crunch it again because I want lots of grungy lines in there. So I'm going to do quite a bit. I want all those beautiful lines. Oh, that's perfect. Look at that side. I'm not sure if one side's going to be better than the other, but that's okay. So that one's done enough. This area here looks like it doesn't have very much, but I'll just crunch that up again. There we go. Now the thicker one I know is going to take a bit more. I'm just taking off some of that conditioner. Look how much I had on that one. And this one's going to take a lot more to crunch up because it's so thick. I'm going to be, maybe what I'll do for this is I'll roll it one way and crunch it as I roll. Okay, so that there's crunching in that way, and open it. That actually works really well. And then I'm going to roll it, crunching it this direction, and I'm going to squish it. Hey, that's kind of fun. It is really fun. It's like Play-Doh almost. Okay, let's open that up. Now it's got straight lines. We don't want the straight lines. I mean, maybe you do. Kind of cool. But I want to make sure I have lines going every which way. So we'll do this direction. And squish, 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 squish. And then when we open it, I'm going to do one more direction. I opened it that way. Yep. So we're doing this direction. This will hold up because it's pretty thick. Pretty thick. All right, if maybe you have a book even with some pages, darker pages, or that's a thicker material that you might want to use. All right, I'm going to, now that it's pliable, let's just do this. All right, now's going to be the hard part, everyone, and that's the letting it dry. I didn't get as much, I don't find I did, maybe this side. I don't see that much creases as I do over here, or the lines, but maybe it'll come out as it dries. So I'm going to let these dry, put my fan on them. It's going to take a while to dry both sides, but I'll see you back here. I could now throw these out because I don't need to mush it anymore. I don't know, maybe with the ink on I will, but see you in a little bit. It'll be really quick for you, but I'll miss you. Hi everyone, I'm back. It's dried. I let them dry overnight. It's the next day. And I chose which side I wanted to do my leathering on. You could do them on both sides if your material is thick enough. Like my one paper is really thick, so that would hold, but I'm putting something on the back of it, whether it be material. I'm not sure what I'm doing with the back of them yet, because I'm not sure what project I'm using. Okay, so I'm going to do two different ways, okay, and they'll both be similar at first, and then at the end I will do something to make them a little different. Okay, so what I'm going to use on here are distress inks. Okay, I've got the color Vintage Photo, Ground Espresso, and Fire Brick, and the Fire Brick is going to be used very sparingly. I don't want it red. And then I'm also going to use possibly some archival ink, potting soil, on the top of one of them. Okay, and that'll be on the one that I'm not going to spritz with water. I'm going to spritz one with water. That's what the difference is going to be, because I want the colors to move a little bit. So the one I'm going to use archival ink and no water. I don't know why I'm using archival ink. Oh, I'm going to use archival ink on the one I'm going to use the water. So the archival ink stays put under the ones that are moving around. That's what I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to do that on this one. So this one's going to be the one I'm going to spritz with water afterwards. It's the thinner version of my paper. It'll dry quicker. So both of them, I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is going to be the Vintage Photo. Dog come to visit. And you're basically, you could like flatten this under a book or something, but I didn't want it flat. I wanted the hills and valleys to be very prominent. Okay, so basically just going over and catching what I can with it all the way to the edges. There we go. There's one. This pad is pretty dry, and I'll do it on this one as well. I have another one open. I should probably see if that one's the juicier one. That's it. Okay. Don't want to talk too much while I'm doing that, because I'm sure it's noisy. Okay, because this one's going to be the one I spritz with water, this color is going to run, so I'm doing this one a lot more than I did that one. Because it's going to react with the water. All right, there we go. That's plenty. Now I'm going to let that dry for a quick sec. Now if you do not want to contaminate your distress inks, or distress oxide, sorry. These two are distress inks. This is distress oxide. If you don't want to contaminate this, you can just use another method, like a, what do you call that? The dauber thing. You could use that to apply it, but I'm not really worried about that. So I'm just going to put this in a few different places. It's very, very subtle. Very subtle. Okay, and then my next one's going to be the Ground Espresso. It's going to kind of go over the Vintage Photo. I'm going to just randomly and not do too much of this, because I don't want to take away all the Vintage Photo underneath. I don't want it to be too dark. There we go. Now this one, just a little bit. Okay, I probably didn't even need the Vintage Photo. If I wanted it dark, I could have just used the distressed ink and ground espresso. All right, and now I would like to, now I could do this two different ways. This one here is done for now. I could apply my archival ink now, which I'm going to do, and then spritz with water, or I could spritz with water, let it dry, and then apply the archival ink. But I think I'm going to apply this first. Let's see. Let's see how much this shows that I can tell where I'm putting it. I can't really tell where I'm putting it. So I'm going to do this after. So I'm going to spritz this with water, the light mister, because I don't want the heavy mister, okay, that I used earlier. I want just a light spraying, just to get it to move around a little bit. Now what I'm going to do, it's not going to move around a whole lot, but what I like to do is get my gloves on. This is where, oh, my gloves are in the next drawer. I like to get my gloves on because I don't want to get ink all over my hands. Now, if you're into that, you can go for it. Just because I'm doing videos, I don't want it on my next video. Brown hands. And I'm going to do a second layer. That was very light. That mister is doesn't do a really strong mist. So it's nice like that, but you have to go over it sometimes twice. Okay, so get my gloves on, and I'm going to smoosh it a little bit. Because it's wet, it's going to, and it has that nice conditioner on it, it's going to be pliable. And it's going to move that color around a little bit. So even if I just fold it in half so that it goes places and moves around, and use my gloves to move the color there. And I know it's moving the color because I'm seeing it on my mat. And I'm seeing it on my gloves. So I'm just working it in a little bit because I want it a little bit darker. Move the color around. See, it's not sealed, so it's going to move it. So this leather look will look a little darker when it's done compared to this one. Okay, so that moved around some of the inks, and see, I don't even need the archival. The last time I did this, I did the prototype, and when I did this part of the water, all of these nice pretty lines actually disappeared. So I had to use the archival ink at the end, but I don't think I need the archival ink at all. I think that's just beautiful, just like that. All right, so I don't need my gloves anymore. I'll save them. All right, now this one's going to have to be set aside to dry, but I will show you on the next one what to do. So all you need to do with this one as well as the wet one, I will show you what they both look like at the end. We're going to use some Mod Podge gloss, so it looks like shiny leather. You could use matte if you like, of course, but the Mod Podge might move this color around as well. So just take your time, put little bits on a time so you're not moving it a ton. Okay, so this might also have some spots in the background that end up getting the ink down there, which I'm okay with. You could also use homemade Mod Podge if you like. That's fine as well. But I found I have this bottle from the Dollar Tree. I may as well use it. All right, I'm just using a dollar store brush, and I'm going to just do half my page first. And yeah, basically we're going to paint it on. And we're hoping that it's not going to move too much of the color, that we had chatted long enough that it's not going to dry, or that it's dried enough. It's not going to move too much because we don't have a sealant underneath, right? So if we had some kind of a sealer or water paper we used or something like that, it would move this color a lot more than it would on the craft paper. So the craft paper seems to keep it kind of still. Now I'm noticing down here I'm getting some brown movement. That's okay. There's lots on there. That's why I put lots of inks and oxides. I'm going to flip it so I don't have my arm in your road too much. And do the same all over. Now I've did five of these already, and I still have maybe a third of the bottle, just to give you an idea of how much this will use. Oh, this side I put a lot more. Whoops, that's all right. All right, so if you were to do this, what kind of projects would you make? I plan to make mostly covers, but I want to do some tags, one journal card, and possibly a couple of pockets. I really love the finished look of this. So there we go. This will take a while to dry, an hour or two. If you want it really well dried, overnight. But there we go. So the both of them will look like this, and I will be back once they are completely dry to show you the final results. And we're back. Sorry it's a little darker. I have a light above, but this is so glossy that it was just shining, so I wanted to take that light off. So here we go. Here's our finished results. This one here is the thicker paper. This is the thinner paper. I want to warn you, the thicker paper that you use and you crunch up, it's going to shrink a little bit. So this shrunk a little, about a 1/4 inch more than this one did. So there you have that. This, I don't find that much of a color change on the one that I used the water. Maybe a couple little spots. It took 5 hours for it to completely dry with the Mod Podge on it. You can, if you like, to do both sides if you're doing something thick enough. Like this one here would be thick enough for it to have both sides and be a cover on its own. But I'm going to actually iron these down, I think, so they're flatter. You could see how wonky it kind of is. So I'll probably iron them down. Now you could use these for journal cards, tags, covers, ephemera, like pockets, corners, like anything you could imagine. Not even to do with junk journaling. You could use these. So yeah, I think I'll probably use this one here for my cover. That'll look really pretty. And I think this one here I'll cut down to be tags because it's so nice and thick. I love it. I love the feel of it. Now I'll show you the two that I did before I even did this project. So here's the two that I did. These two are made from the same thickness of paper as this. So the thinner one, and here we go. So this one I used some black in it. You'll see really dark. You'll see some of the red as well showed up in there. Let's try to get the glare off there. There we go. See some of the red came off. This one I toned down the blackness. I used antique linen on the top as my final layer to kind of tone everything down. And this one I used some spray, I believe. I think I used some vintage photo and I sprayed it on and I let it sit and dry. That's why there's such a color difference between this one. It's not a huge difference because it's brown paper, but it's a little bit. So now I've got 4 sheets to play with. Oh, I can't wait to play with this, see what I can come up with. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like. I've got lots of things on my agenda. Yeah, we're on letter K today. So tomorrow there won't be a video for the hashtag ABC April 2025, but I might plan to do one on my own. And then Monday will be letter L. So I wonder what we'll do for letter L. If you want to guess, take a guess below. All right, talk to you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Take care. Bye.